Yeah, hi there, it's JB once again with my model airplane here. This is the Yak 54 that I've been trying to fly in the past couple of weeks. The one that I have a bad 700 kV motor. Oops, the prop just hit the camera. And this is my orange transmitter that I bought about a month or so ago. So I just wanted to explain how a model airplane or RC plane works, the basics, just the gist of it. In essence, this is an electric model, and as you can see, it's made out of balsa wood. So balsa is the traditional type of material that's used for model airplanes. It's been used for the purpose of making models for maybe 60, 70, 80 years, I think. My dad actually started this hobby when he was a kid, so all the planes were all made out of balsa. That would make for another video, the history about model airplanes. But anyways, in this video, I'm just gonna stick to what I'm trying to achieve here. For the controls, you have what's called servos. These little black boxes. I don't know if you can see that. And they're actually the apparatuses that make the movement for the surface controls. So this is for the rudder. See, the rudder is moving. There's a servo here in the tail. That's for the elevator. You'll see the elevator move up and down. And then for the wings, you have the ailerons. There's a servo underneath. For each aileron, there's a servo. One here and one here. Unfortunately, I'm holding the plane with one hand and the camera with the other. Otherwise, I would articulate. Let me try something here. So there's a servo horn, and this is called a clevis, and it attaches to the aileron. And when you move that, you see the surface moves, the aileron moves. So that's the basics of it. What I will do is I will turn on the plane. Something just cracked. I will turn on the plane and I will move these surfaces via the radio, via the transmitter. So this is self-explanatory, the transmitter for the airplane. Right now the plane is off, so I can play with the throttle. This is the throttle stick. It goes up and down. That's full power and that's off. There's this switch here for the throttle cutoff. It's a safety. So it cuts off the power to the electronic speed controller, actually cuts off the power to the motor in case you bump this and you accidentally cut yourself, so that's a safety. What else? So in essence, you have the electronic speed controller and you have the battery. And this is the receiver. This little thing here. It's a very, very tiny receiver. You can get big ones if you want, but the smaller ones is usually for saving weight, so, and also a shorter range, so whatever you're looking for, further range or shorter range, how far you want the plane to go, etc. And here's a motor as an example. It's a brushless motor. That means that the motor has no brushes in it, and the power output is 700 kVs. I'll make a video one day just about motors, talking about motors and how they work. This is an electronic speed controller. It's an older one that I've had for a few years, so you can see that's kind of beat up, and this actually connects to the motor like this. Okay, this controls the speed of the plane, of the motor, and it's digitally proportionally controlled, so it is not like an on-off switch, as many may think. And this little apparatus here is to measure how much battery power I have. So usually after I finish charging a battery, I forgot to get a battery. So this is the battery. What we do is, I'm working with one hand here. Try to connect it. This will test the battery. I don't know if you can see here. It's gonna make a very loud sound and it's gonna scare my dog, so just a moment. Is it this way? No, it's the other way. I don't know if you can see that. I probably may not be able to see that. I don't know. So this battery, in theory, should have, each cell should have 4.20 volts for a total of 12 volts. So 12 volts and somewhere. 12.4 should be at 12.8 or something to that sort. That's it. That's what it does. And what else? It's pretty much the gist of it. Here's the speed controller that's on the plane. It's similar to the one that I just showed you, but I can't take it out because it's stuffed in there. So, and this is the connector to the battery. That's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna connect the battery to the speed controller, and the plane's gonna become alive. It's gonna become armed and ready to fly. So first I'll hit the switch on the radio here to cut off the throttle. So no matter what I do here, this will not emit a signal to the speed controller. It's a safety feature, as I mentioned before. So here we go. Throttle down, throttle cut on. That's a sound that is emitted by the motor, and that means that the plane is actually bound or binded to the receiver, and it's ready to have its surfaces moved for control. So this is the aileron, goes up and down. There's one on each side, as I mentioned before. The back, you have elevator up and down, and then I'm using one hand for the camera, so it's kind of difficult. And that's the rudder, left and right rudder, see? Up and down, and the ailerons. Left and right for the ailerons. Now, for the throttle, I have the throttle cut on. And let me see something here. Oh yes, this is the servo for the rudder. So I'm gonna work the rudder, you're gonna see the servo work. And it's controlled by cables, and the reason why it's sitting where it's sitting, it's for weight distribution purposes. Because you already have a servo in the back for the elevator, right? So, oops, see, that's the elevator servo. And rudder. Now, let's rev up the motor here. I'll have to put the canopy back on. Well, I don't have to, but I will anyways, because the plane looks better like that. There you go. Now, the problem I have is that, oh man, I'll put the plane on the floor. I'm holding the camera with one hand, so I have to hold the plane somehow, put it on the ground, and that's the throttle. Find a way to show you how that works. You can see the tip of the plane and the transmitter. Yeah, my thumb needs a manicure. Not that I usually do that on a regular basis anyway, so. See, full throttle. Now, let's say I landed, stop flying, the throttle's still armed. So we go to the switch, the throttle cut, throttle hold, there, throttle hold, light lights up. Now you see nothing. It's a very important safety feature that your radio must have and that you must assign to one of the switches, one of these various switches. And that's pretty much it. You landed, throttle is cut. You come to the plane, throttle is down position. Remove the canopy. There's the canopy. Come here, the receiver is armed. This is what you have to do. You have to always turn off the receiver, the main battery for the plane. Now the plane is off, you see. It's off. Nothing works anymore. Everything's dead. And then you turn off the transmitter. When you're about to fly, you do the opposite. You turn the transmitter on first, and then you turn on the plane. And you come here and do that. And that just about resumes the basics of modern airplanes, RC per se, and RC flying. Of course, there's much more technical information that I can make a video about. For example, I can talk about batteries for an eternity. I can talk about the speed controllers, the motors, for example. What else? I can talk about how the plane doesn't require AA batteries for the receiver alone. There's something called BEC, which is acronym for Battery Eliminating Circuit. So all the power that's being drained from the battery to the motor, to provide the motor power, of course, is coming from this battery, but this battery is also powering the servos on each corner of the plane, and also powering the receiver, so the receiver can receive the radio signal from the transmitter. That's over here. Anyways, I'll make another video explaining how the radio works. That is a topic of its own. Thank you very much for watching. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.